Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to week 7-0. We are Win Daily Sports doing the NFL pre-lock show here a couple hours before kickoff of the 1 p.m. games. I'm Dave Kleckner. This is your boy, as you know him, Ghost. What's up, bud?
Everything's going well, man. It's a beautiful day here north of the border, so can't complain. Got some great games on tap, and really excited for this slate. It's a good one.
It is a really good one, and I think we got a lot of people ready to go. It said, thanks for checking in. Absolutely, we're ready to rock. A lot of really good core games today. A lot of good totals, too. I think we're going to have a big slate. So let's get right into it, Nick, with your first game.
Yeah, Indianapolis on the road, taking on Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans. I don't want to say it's a relatively low total, but it is one of the, one of those ones that's it's in the middle of the pack on this slate, and definitely not some marquee offenses. Is there anything really that stands out here to you?
Alec Pierce. And that's about it. I mean, looking at him at 4,600, he had 80 yards against the Titans the previous time they played earlier this year. It's crazy. I think the Colts are playing their 5th division game already this season. But I like him, and that's about it. It gets tough here because the Colts are 6th against the rush, Titans 3rd. Even if we get a Taylor Henry mix, I'm not sure we're going to get anything huge out of them. For me and GPP, they're both fades.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor making his return to the lineup, and his Colts offense looks like it's finally getting healthy. Obviously, Michael Pittman back last week, and the emergence of Alec Pierce too out of the slot there. So, look, Alec Pierce is one of those guys that I'm cool with it. Not a ton of value that I'm in love with at the wide receiver position, and we'll talk about a couple of running backs that are just screaming value this week, but. Alec Pierce, man, he can still get the job done. Like, Matt Ryan's still going to get those underneath routes to him, right? So as much as Michael Pittman will continue to dominate target share, and now Jonathan Taylor back in the fold is more so the bigger complication there for me. But yeah, for sure, Alec Pierce certainly in play at 46. On the flip side, man, if there's ever a running back that I wouldn't count out against a top 5, top 10 rushing defense DVOA in the league, it would be Derrick Henry, just because he's just impossible to tackle, right? But at the same time, you know what Tennessee's going to do with the football. And this game, I feel like, is going to be the battle of possession. So I'm going to be out from a GPP perspective. If you're getting a 1-2 in this game going and you really like it, we're not going to talk you off it. At that point, I would, you could end up making this your premium mini stack with a guy like Pittman and run it back with Derrick Henry. Or you could go Pierce and Derrick Henry, something like that. But outside of that, there's nothing really that I'm in love with.
No, first game went 24-17. I kind of see a similar script here. Henry was solid, and I wrote him up in my running back report. I like him. Don't get me wrong. I just don't love him in GPPs, especially for 80. What's he today? 82. So I'm with you. I could definitely get there in cash games. And if you play him in GPP, we're not going to talk you out. He's probably 18 to 20, which is solid, right? He's just not going to break your lineup. So that's where I'm at. And I think you're the same.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a reoccurring theme that you guys will notice throughout the show, that there's a lot of these GPP running backs. It's similar to, I don't even want to say just last week. It seems to be the theme of the past couple of weeks, because it's essentially the early stages of the season. It's the year of the backup running back, right? With all these injuries going down, and there's a lot of guys that are, jumping others on the depth charts, and guys like Benjamin were, they were on people's radar as, best ball targets in round 25 or something like that. But outside of that, it's these guys are becoming weekly plays, right? So a lot of the GPP plays are going to be flipping the script in the sense that, everyone's going to be punting tight end this week. And there's 2 pretty good ones that we're going to be able to talk about on National Tight End Day. And we'll even throw a third in there, because there's one that I really love for tournaments. And same thing for running backs and wide receivers. So Derrick Henry certainly fits that bill. But talk about another expensive running back, Saquon Barkley, and the New York Giants taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jags favored by 3 in this one at home. That offense has been, how do I phrase this nicely on a nice Sunday morning? Inconsistent. I'll put it that way. Is there anything that we're targeting in this game?
Not much. I mean, I want to get back to the Jacksonville pass game, especially playing in Florida, but the only one I'm leaning towards with a little value is Zay Jones. As he's, when he's healthy, he becomes a huge target of Trevor Lawrence's. So I could get in there. Evan Ingram will be interesting because he's playing against his ex-team. So there could be some motivation there. And he's relatively, he's got a good price at 3,300. So I could see myself getting a little bit in the Jags passing game. I'm out on the running game. It's been pretty much whoever Doug Peterson feels like. And lately it's been Travis Etienne. He's got that explosive upside. I get it. I just can't trust him. I just can't trust that he'll just stick to Etienne. I don't know what Peterson will do. I never knew when he was in Philly what he'd do. So, I think that's where I'm at on Jacksonville, maybe some cheap targets. And on New York, you got to give a chance to Bellinger. He's just been getting a ton of shares at the tight end position. And I find him very interesting this week. I think I could see myself getting in on the lower end of the tight end scale with Bellinger.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with everyone going to the same punt tight end, right? So it's Bellinger is going to be that guy that's virtually unrostered simply because of the fact that everyone's going to play Dulcich and rightfully so, right? But at the same time, if anyone has news, if while we're on air, obviously we're not being able to see these updates, but if Albert O is active, then that might cause a bit of a problem, right? So it's look for a little pivot there. I definitely don't mind the Bellinger play in tournaments for sure. And Jacksonville, yeah, like you said, Doug Peterson's always been that running back carousel kind of coach, right? So is Etienne more explosive? Absolutely. He's active in the passing game as well. Both him and Sunshine playing together at Clemson, of course, too. But at the same time, Robinson's not going anywhere anytime soon, right? So this is going to be one of those balanced rushing attacks where it's it's the same kind of split between Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, where it's you got to get that double touchdown game. And James Robinson has had some big weeks because of that, but at the same time, when he doesn't, it's bad. And you see that with Nick Chubb. When Kareem Hunt gets those 2 touchdown games, it's a bad week for Nick Chubb, right? So it's the same kind of strategy here. I'm largely staying away from this game. Saquon was a little hobbled last week. I'm really tempted to go back to the well because you know where the football is going in this offense. Their wide receiver core is decimated, to say the least, and they're still 5-1. So shout out you Giants fans for sticking with your team throughout the years. I know there's been some pretty tough seasons. This one looks like it's certainly got some promise. 5-1 Giants was definitely not on my bingo card on week 1 of the NFL season. So Saquon's the guy that's making it happen for them on the offensive side of the ball. No one's playing him. He was a little hobbled last week, but he's a tough guy, man. And it's the same conversation as Derrick Henry, where if you're looking to pay up a running back, all these guys are going to be extremely low rostered this week.
Yeah, I agree. I think Saquon is in play. I mean, Jacksonville's 3rd against the rush, only allowing about 83 yards a game. But, they're still 27th against running backs and fantasy points because they allow a lot of receptions out of the backfield. So I could see Saquon getting 4 or 5 catches here and really upping his value. 7,900 is nice because it's that tick lower than, what we just talked about with Taylor and Henry. So I will get interested in Saquon. And I'll even get interested a little bit of Vaughn. It's a good point. Wan'Dale Robinson, nice receiver coming out of Kentucky, really started to flash last week. I think his target share was above 20. So him and Bellinger are the only 2 in the pass game that I would get somewhat interested in. But again, in these GPP slates, like Ghost said, you need a touchdown or 2 to break it. And Wan'Dale's getting these 3-4 yard catches. How many times are we going to rely on a 2-yard touchdown reception? So it gets tricky. I like him, but I don't love him.
Well, that's the thing with guys like Wan'Dale Robinson, right? Like you look at last week, his snap count was super low, and I get it. It was his first week back, but it's not gonna in the span of 6 days, he's not gonna go from sub 50% to playing 80+% of the snaps, right? Like that's the one thing. So when he's out there, he's heavily targeted, and they're certainly getting him involved. They're not gonna put him out there to be anything other than targeted. Like he's that guy when he's gonna be out there. They're easing him back into it. They're not just going to make the guy go for a cardio session. Like he's going to be targeted when he's out there. How often he's out there this week, that's the X factor for me, right? So we're counting on these 2, like these touchdown passes inside the 5. Daniel Jones can run the football. He's by no means Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, but he can still run the football half decently well, and especially in the red zone. And their number 1 guy everywhere on the field is going to be Saquon, right? So that's the one thing. A lot of people are watching while tailgating.
I want to know where.
This is the best thing I've read this morning by far. That just made my day. So shout out Charlie and the boys, whoever's out there tailgating. I absolutely love it.
I want to know what game, Charlie, because I'm itching to get out there. I mean,
let me know where it is so I can catch a flight next week. It's
let's do it live.
I got a plan in advance. We'll maybe we'll do like a live stream or something from one of these tailgates. That'd be pretty wild. So dude. I know I know Jay's definitely gonna support that idea. I say that as I have no idea if he's gonna support that idea, but I'm hoping that he will. So maybe we'll make that happen in future weeks. But Tampa Bay, Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the fire sale of the Carolina Panthers, 13-point favorites in a division game here for the Bucs. Panthers trade away Christian McCaffrey. They trade away Robbie Anderson. DJ Moore is essentially, that infamous Will Smith meme when he's alone in the room. That's what DJ Moore must feel like on offense right now. And this was a little while ago. It wasn't this season, but one of DJ Moore's boys, Curtis Samuel, also left Carolina. So DJ Moore is out there on his own right now. Is there anything we're touching with this game? This one's going to be pretty tough.
I mean, Foreman might give us some interest now that C-Mac's gone, maybe, right? But I don't want to trust the Carolina rushing game. That the only thing we were getting out of C-Mac was the receptions, right? He was second in targets, second in receptions from a running back perspective. He got almost 6 a game, 6.5. So we're not getting that out of Carolina's rushing game without him. So I'm probably off anything Carolina. On the Tampa side, Godwin got 30% of the targets last week. That's an enormous amount. So I like Godwin. I do like this tight end. I just think, you heard the stories today. I was listening. Mike Evans is missing Gronk. They're missing the tight end game in general. Otten coming in at way below value, 2,700. I could see myself getting in on that in the Tampa game.
Yeah, for sure. And like I was saying, right, like everyone's going to be playing Dulcich, and any one of these punt tight ends, you're not like, if you're playing a guy like him, or you're playing Bellinger, or you're playing essentially like any other punt tight end, or even just going up a little bit in the price range of the Dalton Schultz and in that 3.5 to 4.5K range, just to get off the Dulcich chalk. You don't need anything other than the fact that you need that one tight end to outscore Dulcich. That's it. That's all you need, right? So when you're playing a guy like Otten, or you're playing Bellinger, or you're playing any one of these guys, that's where it's like Foster Moreau. I've seen his name thrown around, and we'll touch on that game in a little bit. But that's all you need, guys. You just need, it's a 1-for-1. You got to hope he outscores Dulcich chalk, because you're going to jump thousands of lineups when you do that, right? So I don't mind that strategy at all. Chris Godwin is one of my core wide receivers for cash games this week. Absolutely in on Chris Godwin. I don't care. It could be a 21-point spread, and I'll still be interested in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, right? The Bucs are favored by 13, one of the highest team totals on the week, and they're favored by 13 for a reason, right? Like, they're still going to put up a ton of points in this game, and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are still going to reap the benefits, right? So I'm definitely in on Godwin this week. He's one of my core plays for cash games. We'll get to that towards the end of the show, but yeah, absolutely there. What to do with DJ Moore, man? Sub 5K DJ Moore on DraftKings. I just can't trust it. But at the same time, if you're looking for, if you look at the Millie Maker lineup winner at the end of the day and DJ Moore is in it, I wouldn't say that's crazy. Yeah, that's the one thing I'll say. So it's like, is he a single entry cash? Absolutely not. Forget about it. Not even going to mention that. Is he a single entry type of guy? No, I wouldn't personally go there. I wouldn't even go there in 3 max. But if you're one of these MME players where, you're entering 10 plus lineups, 20 plus lineups, or you're even maxing out contests, whatever floats your boat, DJ Moore is one of those guys where it's not hard to get over the field. He's still going unrostered on this slate just because of the, pretty much the status of that Carolina offense. And the game script is going to be there, man. Like, Sia just nailed it, right? Like, that game script is going to be there. Carolina is going to be chasing points from the first drive. So that's the one thing that I will say, is that they're going to be throwing the ball a ton, whether they like it or not. And that's why I'm out on the Carolina run game. Donta Foreman's going to be out for me, but Chuba's going to catch some passes. Am I playing him this week? Absolutely not. But look for Chuba to kind of, assume that role of the scat back. Is he going to be Christian McCaffrey? Absolutely not. Make sure you guys are tempering expectations, right? So yeah, 4,600 on FanDuel, definitely not. And the main reason why, and you'll hear me repeat this like week in and week out on every show, FanDuel is all about touchdown equity, meaning you need to build a lineup and say, can every one of my guys score a touchdown? Because it's only half point PPR there, meaning you only get 0.5 points per reception, and there's no yardage bonuses. There's not, right? So you can, I don't want to say you can get away with that on DraftKings, but a guy like Godwin can go, 6, 7, 8 receptions for 100 yards, and he still puts up over 20 DK because of that receiving bonus for 100 yards plus and the full point PPR. It really adds up. Whereas on FanDuel, you need to build your lineup and say, can everybody score a touchdown? I don't think Chuba Hubbard gets in the box this week. So that's the one thing. Okay, I played Godwin and on. Yeah, I mean,
I think so. Single entry.
Yeah, that's the one thing, right? Like, and at that point, it's nothing crazy. You're essentially playing Godwin in your single. Like, look at it this way, and I would imagine this is what you're doing, Randy. Is that like you built a lineup and you could easily go Dulcich, and you said, you know what, I have the $200 to get up to Auden. That definitely works, right? Like that's one of those scenarios where you don't even need much from Auden. You just need him to outscore Dulcich, right? And if you like the rest of your lineup and you would slot in Dulcich there normally, play Auden and say, hey, I need 1-for-1. I need Auden to outscore Dulcich, and that's it, right? So I'm definitely cool with
But
that.
I'll tell you, in that kind of stack there, I'd probably go Lamar Jackson. I'd probably stay away from Brady because you're going to want Brady to throw 3 and all those guys get them, and you might even need him to throw 5. So I might not throw Brady in the mix if I'm going Godwin to Auden because I'm looking for receptions, right? Also, I'm trying to what you said about Godwin, get that 8 for 100, get that over 20 some points, and hopefully that touchdown's a bonus. But the touchdown you're hoping goes to Auden to raise his value. So I don't know if I play Brady in that stack is all I would say.
Yeah, that's the one thing, right? Like this is if you said Godwin and Mike Evans, then I would certainly play Brady, right? Because for both those guys to pay off, you definitely need Brady to throw for 303 at the minimum, right? So it's like that's, but because you're using essentially like, where would I even put on at this point, the 4th, 5th option on this offense? Like it's not like you need Brady to go out there and throw for 404. Like both Godwin and On can get there without Brady. So you can play Brady if you want, but you don't have to feel forced to do that either.
Hey, and I got to send one shot out real fast. James, I'll be in Philly. It's right around the corner for me. So yeah, maybe we got to set that up one day. Love it. We had Charlie telling us he's at the Ravens. What a good divisional game. Great weather out here on the East Coast too. So that's going to be enjoyable.
Yeah, I'm definitely down to come to Philly, especially with Tony out there and John's out there and everything too. So yeah, maybe we might have to set that up. We'll and Tony was saying whenever I land, he's like, first thing we're doing is we're going to get a Philly cheesesteak because I've never been to Philly, and he's like, no, if you've had Philly cheesesteak before, but you've never had a Philly cheesesteak in Philly. So I said, okay, that's what we're doing. So we've been talking about that. Yeah. We've been talking about it. So now we might have to make that happen. But
I'll be in the back seat. I'm coming with you guys. I'll teach you how to order it because you got to have a game plan when you get up to these windows. They don't like guys looking at the menu and asking questions. You got to be ready.
Yeah, and I'm gonna sound like a rookie out there, right? So it's like, hey, if you guys need help ordering in French north of the border and you need to know, anything about here, yeah, I'm your guy. But when it comes to ordering a Philly cheesesteak in Philly, man, I'm gonna sound like a rookie out there. So don't forget, I need some pointers. But didn't set out to stack that game not using either QB. Yeah, like that would be the move, right? Like this is gonna be a slower paced game, but Godwin and Auden, you're looking for an Auden touchdown. Essentially, he is going to be touchdown dependent, and then Godwin can get there in any game script, man. Honestly, like he's just one of those guys that's fantasy football proof in any game script, any opponent. He's always going to be that guy, right? So one of my personal GPP stacks in certain contests, Green Bay taking on Washington. Green Bay 4-point favorites on the road. Kick us off. Anything you like on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta love Lazard in this game. Washington very bad in pass DVOA. The fact that Randall Cobb is now out and Aaron Rodgers is steaming to really turn this thing around. He's going to go back to old reliable. I really like Lazard. I mean, 6K is a little much, but I think we can get there with him. I think Dubs has a good game too, but I wouldn't play both. I think we got to go one or the other and hit on one of them. But I think one or the other blows up. I don't think both blow up, and I'm leaning Lazard. How about you?
One of my favorite GPP plays is actually not in the passing game. It's Aaron Jones. Kind of in the passing game.
Yeah, but where's he been, right?
But this is one of those games where it's just Aaron Rodgers puts on a clinic. I'm hoping. We've now been waiting for that for 6 weeks. But this whole offense is going unrostered. Aaron Rodgers sub 5% rostered. Romeo Doubs is going to be the one guy that's heavily up there in terms of who's rostered, and because that 5K range is quite thin, right? So a lot of people flocking to Romeo Doubs, and I get it, especially with Randall Cobb out. I like the matchup for Lazard, especially against Washington's cover D, and Aaron Jones is going to go bonkers today. On FanDuel, you need to at least consider him for some of your tournament lineups. The man is like the 20th priced running back on FanDuel. It makes no sense. He's 6,800 on FanDuel, which is the equivalent of him being like in that 5.5K range on DraftKings. Like, imagine if Aaron Jones was 5.5K on DraftKings. That's what it is on FanDuel right now. So on FanDuel, you absolutely need to consider him for tournaments. Am I saying make every single lineup with Aaron Jones? No, pump the brakes there, guys. Don't take this out of context either. But at the same time, he is just, we're talking about touchdown equity. Aaron Jones has all of it. All in the red zone, he's targeting the pass game. He's going to get some carries. It seems like they refuse to give AJ Dillon 15 plus carries in a game. Like they ultimately refuse. And they gave a big contract to Aaron Jones, which I'm sure is partly why. But everyone on this Green Bay offense is going virtually unrostered with the exception of Romeo Doubs, right? So if you want to go Big Bob in Robert Tonyan, I get another tight end flyer in these punt ranges. Like any one of these guys, you just have to make sure that your game script works. My personal stack was Rodgers with Aaron Jones and Lazard. That's because I want all the yardage, all the touchdowns, and I want the big playmakers. I don't want these 2-yard touchdowns to whatever third string running back that's Aaron Rodgers is throwing to. No. I want the main guys. If I'm playing sub 5% rostered Aaron Rodgers and I want a 404 game, it's Aaron Jones and it's Allen Lazard, and that's where I'm going because I don't want a chalky Romeo Doubs. Yeah, what I said. Yeah,
yep.
That's exactly what I'm doing, bro. So, by the way, shout out Julian. Took down first, second, third, fourth, and sixth in an NBA contest yesterday. So shout out to one of the best guys in our Discord chat. So good job, Julian. Keep it up and stay hot, my friend. But would I stack Aaron Jones and that is green lineup? So is it my main SE lineup? No, but it's certainly one of my GPP lineups with both those guys. And I don't mind running it back with Scary Terry, but you can get cheap exposure to this offense. So if you don't know who we're talking about just yet, go and check out Stix's article. Did a combo article for cash and GPP this week. Got some cheap exposure to this Washington offense, right? So
I do like a little bit on Washington. Brian Robinson, I like a lot. Green Bay's 32nd rush DVOA. So I think they committed to him last week, and he even got 47% of the snaps. Could have been like 60 if they decided in the first quarter it was his game. So I could see 60% today.
Absolutely. So it's getting up there, and that's a great story too. So Heineke drops 15 and 20 DK. Man, you know what? It's 2022. We play rushing quarterbacks, and Heineke certainly fits the bill. So if you want to go wild like that, I don't think anyone's playing Heineke this week. So what I do know is that there's cheap exposure to this Washington offense before we get to this next game. There's cheap exposure to this Washington offense, but I also don't mind Scary Terry because Heineke is going to absolutely pepper him with targets, right? So this is one of those quarterback situations where all these guys are pro athletes and you are in the quarterback room and you want to take over the guy's job. Doesn't matter if it's Tom Brady or Carson Wentz in front of you, you want to take over the job. You want to be that starter, right? And now Heineke has that chance. So he's going to absolutely go to his go-to guys, and he's going to go to guys that he's been practicing with, right? So when we're talking about that cheap exposure, go and check Stix's article for more details there. But yeah, a lot of B-Rob run back with Lazard. Yeah, Aaron Jones is going to be one of my guys. So we'll leave it at that, but we'll talk about it towards the end of the show. But
many men, I love it.
That was one of the dopest videos. That was one of the dopest videos I've ever seen.
50 Cent, yep.
That was so sick.
This is right. We're right. We've been hitting everywhere in NBA. That. Yeah, it's been great.
NBA is hot. NBA is it's the NBA streets. It's the best time of the year when we start rolling in NBA. I promised the guys takedowns in week 1, and
we're there.
We're right there, right? So it's a ton of screenshots there. So make sure you guys come and join. We got NFL on top today, and NBA locks a little later too, which is nice. So we get to double dip the chip. Detroit taking on the Dallas Cowboys. The return of Dak Prescott, 7-point home favorites for one of the highest totals on the board. What's not to love about this game?
I know this could be a really good game stack. I mean, from a Dallas perspective, Dak coming back, I think, is a great situation for the Cowboys, especially CD Lamb. I mean, he is one of the 4 or 5 receivers that have averaged or scored over 12 points in DK every game, but he just hasn't hit his ceiling yet. So I think I want to see a lot of CD Lamb today at 6,800. I'm good with that. I'm torn between the Elliott Pollard, Detroit, very bad, 31st in rush defense, DVOA. Ramondre Stevenson went for 165 against them the last time they played before the bye week. So
that was with Bailey Zappi playing quarterback too. So they knew they knew Bill was going to run the football. They knew their game plan, and he still rushed for an absurd amount of yards there. So
I know, and that but my tear here is Zeke 6, Pollard 57. I think Detroit's more susceptible to the big home runs. That's why I kind of like Pollard a little better today. I think if he can just get through the first, second level, he's gone. And I think he could get one of those big runs for touchdowns. So I prefer Pollard in this game over Zeke. But I wouldn't argue with you if you went the other way. I just can't play both.
Yeah, you certainly can't play both. I'm going to lean Zeke on this side just with the rush DVOA.
Mm-hmm.
The usage has been there, and especially for tournaments, when you're playing a guy like Zeke, you're not playing him in cash, right? Gone are those days where he was in the early stages of his career, and he was virtually a cash lock every single week a couple of years back. But gone are those days, and now he's one of those GBP guys where you're constantly saying, "Man, he's underpriced. Am I playing him? Am I not?" This week I am, and the touchdown equity, man. Zeke is gonna absolutely barrel over this line's defensive line. That touchdown equity is massive. It's there in the passing game. It's like. And him and Dak are like they have this chemistry, right? Whereas Dak with Pollard it's more so in a negative game script where he's checking it down to him and they're trying to get some garbage time stats. That's where Tony Pollard comes in. And for me, it's like if you're stacking Detroit as your main stack, I would consider a run back with Pollard. That's where I would play Pollard. If Dallas is your main stack, that's where I would play Zeke. So the way that I'm approaching this game is that if you're going Dallas, I'm going Dak, Zeke, and CD. And then if you're going Detroit, that's where you would go Goff with one of my favorite GBP wide receivers this week is Amon-Ra St. Brown. I won't quit Amon-Ra St. Brown ever, and he's sub 10% rostered with a game that's going to have absolute fireworks. So if you're doing that where you're single stacking Goff to Amon-Ra St. Brown, that's like a tighter game script where Detroit is kind of keeping pace with Dallas. That's where I would want Pollard, because if they pull away, it's going to be because of a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown. So in a script that Detroit is pulling away from this game and they're actually possibly winning outright, that's where I want Tony Pollard in the check down game, right? So those are the two kinds of scripts. You got to pick your lane. But at the same time, I think almost everyone is in play in this in this game, in the sense that CD's going to be a cash lock. He's still a great play in tournaments as well, but he is going to be highly rostered. So make sure to get different elsewhere if you're Dallas. Oh my God. DJ is Dak, CD, Gallup, Amon-Ra. Yeah, that's definitely there. So I was just about to say Michael Gallup as well. And he can stretch the field, right? So there was a lot of misconception with this Cowboys offense this offseason where people were saying, oh, CD's going to, take that Amari Cooper route tree and he's going to start running deeper routes. Like, no, that's not CD. He'll run deep post routes and he'll still run some deep routes, but he's always going to be over the middle. And they'll put him in the slot. They'll put him on the outside. They'll move him all around the formation. Michael Gallup is the one that'll constantly stretch that field for them, right? So with Dak back, you got to respect that passing game now. And it'll open up the rush game for Ezekiel Elliott, which is why I'm going Dak, Zeke, and CeeDee Lamb. But pick your poison in this game.
I like Gallup. He's primarily going to see Jeff Okudah, who's been averaging, 13.1 yards per reception. So allowing. So I think you got a good little, off script of Gallup there. If you get off CD, you could even combo and like Jay is saying, like you're saying. So I'm with you. I think this is a huge game stack today. I'm not 100% sure, Brian, that I'm ready to play Schultz. I just don't know if I'm there yet. There's so many other tight ends on National Tight End Day that I could get there, but he just hasn't come out yet. And now I know it's Dak, and I know it's Dak's safety blanket. So maybe that's where we see him light it up. And at 3,600, it is good value.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like when we're talking again, it's the same conversation as what we talked about. It's Dolchich versus the field. That's what it is with these punt tight ends, right? So if this is your way to get exposure to this Dallas offense is by playing Dalton Schultz, then by all means you have the green light. If he's gonna be in a stack, that's where you can kind of rework things a little bit. But yeah, I'm definitely not gonna talk anybody off of Schultz. He's in the right game script and he's gonna be there, right? So and I like what you mentioned about Jeff Okuda. Like he was so good at OSU, man, and now he's getting absolutely torched, right? So Michael Gallup might go for a really deep one in this game. I'm thinking like a 60-yard touchdown if that's the case, but
that's what I'm looking at, especially against Okuda. And yes, I get it.
He just plays so much press. Like he presses on the line, and right now he's not. Like it's crazy to say because he was really quick in college, but he's not quick enough to be able to do that right now. And he's like stuck in his ways where he's still pressing. He's pressing up on if you're pressing up on Michael Gallup is a big dude.
Yeah,
he will run you over. So if he's pressing up on Michael Gallup, that's gonna be a fun little vertical route, but we'll see.
I agree. I'm liking Gallup more and more as I talk myself into it. Schultz, I'm not off. I'm not telling you guys I'm off. I know he got 7 catches the one game that Dak played. It's just there's a lot of balls to go around today. And Gallup, remind me, but he didn't play week 1, I'm pretty sure. Right? He didn't come back till
who did?
3.
Gallup. Oh, no, Gallup. Yeah, Gallup was out week 1. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think that kind of opened up the field for Schultz. So that's why now Gallup back in. There's just a lot to go around. Noah Brown was great in that game, if you remember. That might be Gallup today.
That's what it is. That's essentially what it is, right? So stock this game. Yep. Absolutely. Get mini stacks from it or make it your main stack. This is absolutely a huge game on the board. But kind of following up, I'm gonna switch up. Yeah, we got some really good games to follow that one because I didn't want to follow that game with a stinker. So the Falcons on the road, taking on the Go Tigers in the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati 6.5-point favorites at home. Really high over/under on this one. Only 2 points lower than Detroit and Dallas. Cincinnati's at 47.5 here. So what are we doing with this one? Joey B and the boys.
Yeah, they were your big millie maker last week, right? And I think they could possibly be again. Falcons 23rd pass DVOA defense, 25th rush DVO defense. So you got. I think they can attack from several angles. My favorite one today is going to be T. Higgins. He gets most of, similar shares, similar targets that Jamar gets. You just don't notice it on some days. And now I think he's back and fully healthy. And he's going up against Darren Hall, who is in for Casey Hayward, who's out on IR with a shoulder injury. Teams are going against Hall, 18.2% target share. So I think T. Higgins is going to see the ball a lot today. I think he's going for over 70, 80 yards. Upwards of 100 with a touchdown or 2. So Higgins is probably my favorite play. I love Chase last week, returning to New Orleans, the Baton Rouge area for LSU with Joey B. Today, I think it's Higgins' turn.
T. Higgins against the cover 3 defense is the ultimate cheat code. Everyone that's been here long enough knows that T. Higgins is my dude. Joey B is I'm tinkering with my main lineup. It's between him and Lamar, but Go Tigers stock is certainly in play with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. AJ Terrell likely going to see a ton of Jamar Chase. I'm just so all in on T. Higgins this week. Where it's like it's the receiving prop has skyrocketed. He's back to being healthy. Last week he looked good out there. Got in some practice time this week, more so than the last couple weeks, which means he's good to go. And when you see T. Higgins against the cover 3D, there's going to be some serious problems for Atlanta today. I absolutely love T. Higgins on both sites. Joe Mixon is a free square on FanDuel. He's not actually free, 7,400, but that's as close to a free square as it gets for Joe Mixon. You need to play Joe Mixon on FanDuel, absolutely. The touchdown equity is there. He's going to get 20-plus touches. This team has a 4 touchdown implied team total, right? It's right under 28, excuse me. It's at 27.8. Their implied team total right now. So you need to get some piece of the Bengals offense, and against the cover 3 defense in the Atlanta Falcons, absolutely love T. Higgins this week. 100% one of my guys. I remember a lot of people have been saying that lately. So Stix and I have been kind of running running with that trend. One of my guys this week is going to be T. Higgins, and across all formats, absolutely. Higgins over Mixon, yeah. As crazy as it sounds, yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'm doing it. T. Higgins is my dude this week. He goes for over 100 yards and a score. Absolutely.
And what's funny is we didn't talk beforehand about this. I had this T. Higgins circled, starred, highlighted, and there you go. And so when stars align, mash it.
You got to do it. You absolutely have to do it. T. Higgins is a lock for me across all formats, 100% of the way. Gus the Bus, yeah, that's actually our next game. So pause on that question. We will get to it on the next game.
We need an Atlanta running back? I say no.
I don't know if you need to run back in this game. I feel like that would be forcing it. Because at that point, are you playing Kyle Pitts on national tight end day? Dude's might not even consider as a tight end at this point. Like he's more like a wide receiver 1B to Drake London's 1A at this point. But look, if I am running this game back, I would want an Atlanta playmaker. I'm taking Drake London. That's what I would do. But I'm not forcing it. If it fits your build, great. But don't shift off running backs that you really like. Like let's say, for example, you're going Burrow with Chase and Higgins, or you're doing like what I'm doing and I'm going Burrow, Mixon, and Higgins just to get different. If Drake London fits your builds as a run back, cool. But don't come off your RB2 or anything like that to be able to squeak in Drake London. It's not the end of the world if you don't play him, but that's the only guy that I would want to run back in this game. A lot of people are going to look at game logs and they're going to play Zacchaeus. I'm out. I can't do it. Atlanta's going to have a hard time stretching the field in this game. I more so like the volume of Drake London for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. I could see a little bit of Pitts. The problem is, you got 42.5 as the receiving prop for Pitts and 45 for London.
It's really low.
It's so low. Since he's 8th in pass DVOA, they're pretty good pass defense. I don't know. You got to get. You can only do one, and I would lean more London. I'm with you. Now, Hayden Hurst is an interesting story. I thought about putting him in as well, but we've talked about so many different tight ends that I probably like a little bit different spots for Hurst. He is facing his ex-team, and we saw him do that earlier against the Ravens too and do well. So maybe he could have a decent day, but I don't think he lights up the scoreboard or breaks the slate.
Yeah, one of the best stories in the NFL. If you don't know Hayden Hurst's story, go and check that out. One of the best guys in the league. So I'm always rooting for a guy like Hayden Hurst. But the one thing with a guy like that is that he will be the 5th option on this offense, and it'll never change. Tyler Boyd will get more looks than Hayden Hurst, right? And it's that's where you're kind of chasing a DVOA with a guy that's I understand when people say Atlanta are bad against tight ends, or the Ravens are bad against X, and the Browns are bad against Y. And I understand that. It's a great point to start, but it doesn't change the fact that the guy is not going to have a high target share, right? So that's where it's if it fits the bill, cool, but he's still going to be that 5th option on this offense. It's going to be Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, always 1, 2, 3, and Tyler Boyd out of the slot. When they go, Cincinnati runs one of, if not the most, 3 wide receiver sets in the entire league, right? So they've always done that with this trio. They're that's where things can open up for Hayden Hurst. But again, it's at that point, that's the scenario where you absolutely need an Atlanta run back, because if you're counting on Hurst really getting there, it's likely because Joe Burrow is still throwing the football in the 4th quarter, because it's just going to be one of those game scripts. Then at that point, yeah, I absolutely would force Drake London or Kyle Pitts in my lineup. But Hurst is not going to be on my radar this week. I'm going with the big guns, and a lot of people are underpriced in some of these elite offenses. So I'm out, but he's certainly in play. Absolutely.
Yeah, I get the Atlanta bad against tight ends. Kittle actually broke out a little, but like you said, that's not with teams where the tight end's the 5th, maybe 6th option sometimes. Outside of the Baltimore game, Hurst is only giving you a payback of about 6 points a game, DK style. So it's very
touchdown dependent. You need a touchdown, because he won't have the volume to be able to get there. On his volume alone, he won't get there. So you need a touchdown. If you think he gets in the box, absolutely. And if you don't play him, what me and Stix always joke about is that if you don't play him, bet on him to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
Go check what his touchdown odds are right now. I guarantee you it's probably some decent plus money.
Yep.
And go and put whatever entry fee that you're thinking about playing him in there. Bet him to score a touchdown so that you win either way. He's either going to be in your lineup and you don't bet the touchdown and you have him in your DFS lineup, great. And if you don't play him in DFS and you want to hedge a little bit, go and bet his touchdown prop, because that's the way that he'll burn you and you'll be disappointed that you didn't play him, is only if he scores a touchdown. So go and bet that, and then you hedge it that way, being able to do that. But Hurst might vulture a TD, but yeah, that's the only thing, right? Like it's the same scenario, guys. These touchdowns inside the 5, like, man, it'll go to Joe Mixon inside the 5, and Zach Taylor only runs HB dives when he gets in the red zone. Like, it's like Joe Burrow has to audible out of his original play call to do that, and when he's audible, like when he's doing that, he's not, his number one read is not going to be Hayden Hurst. That's the one thing. That's the one thing I'll say. So if anybody is a Cincy fan in the chat, they'll know the amount of pain that anybody feels when they watch a Cincinnati Bengals game. When they get inside the 10, it's 3 HB dives in a row. That's all Zach Taylor calls. So it's Joe Mixon 100% of the way. And then after that, when Joe Burrow audibles out of it because he realizes that that's not working and he calls his own play, his first read is not going to be Hayden Hurst. That's the one thing, right? So will it be his third read and the offensive line is, getting there? It's certainly getting better. Cool. He might score a touchdown. Absolutely. But all I'm saying is that we need to temper expectations a little bit.
I agree. And listen, we're getting into the locks. You'll hear them. We spread them throughout, but we have some at the end we'll talk about. But one is T. Higgins that we both are aligning to, and that was the big hit here in the Cincy game. What's the next one you got on there? Ghost?
Last game at 1 o'clock for our East Coasters and 12 o'clock for the Sticks region, I call it, because every time I text him, he's like, what time is that? Because we're not in the same time zone. So Cleveland Browns taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Hearing a little bit of rain coming in this game towards the end, so nothing that's going to, absolutely alter the state of this game at all, but it might get a little greasy out there towards the later stages of that fourth quarter. But Lamar Jackson, the clear-cut top quarterback on this slate, absolutely. The rushing upside is huge, especially with J.K. Dobbins unfortunately getting injured once again, and he's out for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So Lamar Jackson's rushing share goes absolutely through the roof now that J.K. Dobbins is out. So that's absolutely huge. And his number one guy will always will be Mark Andrews on National Tight End Day. And we're talking about, again, getting different on a slate like this. We talked about what you can do and certain guys you can play at the running back position to get off some chalk, lower priced running backs. And the ultimate way to get different today is to pay up for one of Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews, because on a slate where they are both in the player pool and everyone is just punting tight end with Dulcich, and like, it's National Tight End Day. The narrative is there. If you like don't be a party pooper and start blasting me in the comments here. Like, let's have some fun with some narratives. It's National Tight End Day, and these guys are legitimate wide receiver 1 options. Yes, they're 8.3K, 8K, 7.8K, 7.5K, week in, week out. They're always extremely expensive, but they're wide receiver 1s on their team. So that's where the upside is absolutely huge for both these guys. When we're talking about Mark Andrews, yeah, Lamar's going to be forced to throw the ball a little bit today, more than he's used to. With J.K. Dobbins out, they're not going to give Kenyon Drake 20-plus carries. They're not going to give Hill 20-plus carries, anything like that. Lamar will run this offense, right? So it's absolutely huge, and that's the one thing that I will say about this game. On the Cleveland side, Kareem Hunt is one of those guys that's a roller coaster. The upside is always there week in, week out for GPPs. I'm not playing him this week. But I'll never talk anybody off of playing Kareem Hunt just because the upside is absolutely massive. And the same could go with paying up for running back this week. Nick Chubb is running like an absolute beast this year. And the way that Baltimore defends the run, he's going to have to break some tackles, and he's been doing exactly that. So I don't mind playing Nick Chubb to be able to get different. Like, you'd be getting different at 2 positions where everyone's punting. You'd be like a mini stack in this game, or even just you could say a full stack, but it would just be 3 guys. It would be Lamar with Mark Andrews and running back with Nick Chubb. You're getting different at the tight end position, and you're getting different at the running back position, all in the same game. Like, this is something that certainly intrigues me. Absolutely.
Yeah. Listen, Lamar's my favorite quarterback on the board, and he's probably going to be in most of my milli makers. It's close between him and Joey, but I'm throwing out the last game last year because he only played a couple minutes against Cleveland. But before that 4-game win streak, he's averaged 85 yards on the ground against Cleveland, had 2 games over 100 yards. I think we could see that today. He's averaged 2 passing TDs, right around 31, 32 DK points in those 4 contests. He likes Cleveland. They beat him, 47-42 in that one Monday night game when who knows why he had to go back to the bathroom or locker room. 38-6. He's Cleveland's kryptonite in a way. So I love Lamar today. And your point on Andrews is absolutely on point. I think I'm playing him in a lot of stacks with Lamar. 34% target share last week. You know, he lost his main guy in Bateman, and Duvernay's, the guy we thought was going to get no. Andrews just got all Bateman's targets. So I could really see him going off today. And then on the other side, I'm with you. The Chubb Hunt thing's interesting. Last week it was 44% snaps for Chubb, 43 for Hunt. 3K less, you get Hunt. I think he's a good risk in GPP, but I do like Chubb better for cash games. And Njoku, let's not forget Njoku on tight end day, right? He's averaging about 6-7 receptions in the past 4 games. They've really started to target him. 14.6 DK points. You're getting a guy right around 4K that could get you 15, 16. I'm good with Njoku today.
Yeah, and Rashad Bateman is back, right? So Lamar's Rashad Bateman's back. So this is where it makes me want to play Mark Andrews even more, because when you take away J.K. Dobbins out of that, Cleveland kind of says, okay, we'll run a ton of spy and we'll have a linebacker making sure that they could, I don't want to say cover Lamar Jackson. You can't cover Lamar Jackson when he starts running the football. You could attempt to cover Lamar Jackson. And that's what they'll have to do, right? They're going to have a linebacker out there playing a spy, and they're going to make sure that they're keeping him in check. But now that you have Bateman out there, you have to respect the passing game, right? So it's just it adds another weapon for Lamar, where whether he gets involved or not, he's going to be on the field. That's huge, and it's even bigger for Mark Andrews, right? So for me, nothing changes. It's going to be Mark Andrews, Lamar, running back with Nick Chubb if you want to stack it. If not, you could just go Lamar and Mark Andrews and just call it a day, right? So
I'm good.
The usage is really condensed with the Baltimore Ravens offense, which is always nice when you want to stack it.
Yeah, People Jones is interesting.
This is where I feel like we're like guys like Njoku and guys like Donovan Peoples Jones, etc. Like number one in a Raven stack, I'm playing Mark Andrews. I don't like going double tight end.
Yeah, true.
Right. So that's where it caps upside. And then talking about Donovan Peoples Jones, I feel like I'm forcing that in at that point. It's one of those like dead wide receiver zones on DraftKings where it's a lot of these guys where it's you're throwing up a hope that it's okay, I really hope something happens, right? And the yardage is there and he's going to be that big play guy. It's still though it's still going to be Amari Cooper, it's still going to be Njoku, it's still going to be Kareem Hunt in the passing game, it's still going to be 20 plus carries to Nick Chubb. You got to hope for a deep ball in this point, right? So that would be more of a milli maker play for me. But in your main lineup, no, I'm not playing Donovan Peoples Jones. Yeah, no one's playing Amari Cooper either, right? So in that 6K range, obviously it's not the most elite matchup lining up on Marlon Humphrey a ton, and it's just it's not gonna be the best kind of matchup, but at the same time they'll move him around, which I don't mind. So I don't mind Coop, but I'm gonna be out on Njoku. A lot of people are gonna play him as another one of these punt tight ends, and I don't want to eat chalk at the tight end position this week. So that's what it is.
Good game
Talking
stack.
about
good game
stack. Good game to stack. Absolutely. We got 3 back-to-back great ones. We got Detroit, Dallas, Atlanta, Cincy, and Cleveland, Baltimore from those 1 o'clock kickoffs. Jets, Broncos. I'll burn through this one quickly.
Yeah.
Dolchich, we've been talking about it for the last 51 minutes, guys. Is going to be the tight end shot. You eat it in cash. I'm not playing him anywhere else.
Yep.
I have 0 in tournaments. That's just strategy. And that's what it is. Putting it out there. Nothing to do with this Denver offense. I don't want anything to do with it. It is absolutely abysmal. It's bad when Russ is there. It's even worse when he's not. No, thank you. Hard pass.
Yep.
The wind is bad in there. It's going to be bad. I'm playing Jets D, Breece Hall. Call it a day. That's it. That's all I'm doing.
Yep. I'm with you. Breece Hall is absolutely the only other one that I'll get in there. He's been absolutely fantastic in the past 3 contests, and he's getting those carries now. Denver, not very good in the rushing defense. They're okay, middle of the pack, 19th, 20th. So I do like Hall. I do like a ground game because of the wins. I do like the Ds, and like you said, Dulcich, and that's plenty for me. I heard Gordon might get back in there, but you can't trust. I'm telling you, this guy is in over his head in Denver, Hackett, and I can't trust anything on this side.
Yeah, no, that's it. Guys, the one thing, like I see people saying like Dolchich and Cash, yes or no, this, that you have to. He's gonna be like 80% rostered. You have to do it. Just eat the chalk.
Yeah.
Even if he gets a 0, it doesn't matter. It
Yep.
lets you build anything you want in cash, which is what you need. Like cash games is not about finishing first or third or 100th. Like you just need to finish over the pay line. You have to play Dolchich and Cash.
Yep.
You absolutely have to do it. On FanDuel, not as necessary because pricing is soft over there in general, but a 100% mix-in.
Yeah.
For this question, 100% mix-in.
Yeah, it's tough. I agree.
But that's just what it is. You have to play Dolchich and Cash this week. Absolutely have to.
Yep. And I think you got to play him in 30-40% of GPPs. I mean, you got to get him in GPPs too. But you got to get different in GPP as well. So I'm with you. You got to play him somewhere though. Don't you think?
Yeah, I'm not playing him at all in tournaments. I'm not.
You're off.
I don't have a single one of Dolchich in any one of my tournament lineups. It's not happening. But
because you got to
eat the chalk and cash. I'm not eating that chalk in tournaments. That's for sure. But next game, because that one's really ugly. Houston taking on Las Vegas. Both these teams coming off their bye week. Anything you like in this one? It's kind of flying under the radar, this game.
Yeah, favorite running back on the board today in Josh Jacobs. Anytime I can attack Houston's defense, especially with a running back, I'm doing it. And now I'm getting Josh Jacobs coming in at 6,500 in DK. I think that's underpriced. He's been just a workhorse the past 2 games, to say it kindly. 300 rushing yards, pretty much 298. It all depends. Like, it scares me that they were on bye week, and now, McDaniels has a little time to think and attack, but it should be simple. We attack with the ground game against Houston. That opens up the pass game. I love Josh Jacobs this week. He's in a lot of my tournaments. And I think it's a good price too. So Jacobs for me. Moreau is interesting too. I know a lot of people are commenting about Moreau, especially with Waller being out. Titans just haven't been the targets, but I could see Moreau is good. He can actually break one if you get one into him in the open field. So I could see Moreau as well with Jacobs, and that would be different.
Yeah, Jacobs chalk, you have to eat it in cash. In tournaments, you just got to ride that usage wave, right? So it's one of those coming off a bye week. It definitely helps him heal up a bit. He's always been banged up the last couple of years too, and at the same time, Vegas is going to run this guy into the ground, right? They didn't pick up his 50-year option. They have no further commitment to Josh Jacobs, right? So it's one of those scenarios where they can absolutely burn this guy out, and it's sad to say, like from that kind of perspective, but they don't care, right? Like they haven't signed him past this point, right? So they're going to run him into the ground, and it's one of those games where he absolutely can. Houston bleeds fantasy points all over the place. Their defense absolutely blows. So. I'm cool with Josh Jacobs. Even in tournaments, you could play him, just get different elsewhere. If you're eating all this chalk, get different elsewhere, guys. It's the one thing that I will say. And I don't mind if you are playing Josh Jacobs in tournaments. I don't mind a mini stack with Brandon Cooks. I don't mind it. I'm not saying absolutely do it, but in that 6K range where it's like Godwin is clearly the guy there, but if you need a second 6K wide receiver, T Higgins is 6.4. It's automatic. Like he should already been in your lineup. But if you're going like 3 6K wide receivers kind of thing in your GPP lineup or anything like that, that's where it's like it's something to consider. It's absolutely something to consider with a run back in Brandon Cooks. Nobody is going to be playing him, and if you're playing Josh Jacobs chalk and you hope that like at that point you need Houston to still put up some points in this game. Like obviously the game script will work for Josh Jacobs either way. Vegas is going to be up, but you still need Houston to get a bit of back and forth for Josh Jacobs to really pay off at that rostership in tournaments, right? So that's the one thing that I will say on this game, but that's about it. Anything further that you want to add?
Like, look at Vegas. They're 30th in pass DVOA. So I would attack somewhere in the Texans game if you're going to run Jacobs with a mini stack. I agree. Do you want to go Nico? I don't know. I'd rather go Cooks.
Yeah, absolutely. Seattle taking on the LA Chargers. Geno Smith has been a roller coaster the last couple of weeks. Herbert's finally getting some of his boys back and healthy. Austin Eckler looks phenomenal.
Yep.
What are you doing with this game? Really high total in this one. I think it's the highest of the week at 50.5.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously going to be chalky, but Kenneth Walker should be considered. There's not much behind him. DJ Dallas, he's going to get some carries. Chubb ran through this Chargers D. A lot of good running backs have run through this Chargers D. So on Seattle's side, I kind of like, Walker's involved in the pass game too, and he's a good salary at under $6K. So I do like him. I will consider getting in on Metcalf. J.C. Jackson, he just hasn't been what they thought they were getting. And we've had some good pass games for receivers against the Chargers as well. On the other side, man, the availability of Keenan Allen changes everything for me. I just don't know where to go yet. I like Eckler, but 8,300 seems a tad much. But are you good with 8,300 in a tournament?
I don't mind it just because the upside's there, right? So it's like I always like getting one of these higher priced running backs when everyone's punting down. Like everyone's gonna have the same build. They're gonna start their lineup with Lamar or Burrow. Like I'm talking tournaments now. Cash, we've already discussed everything. They're gonna start with Lamar or Burrow, and then they're gonna play Walker and Jacobs.
Yep.
And then they're gonna probably punt tight end with a Dulcich, a Moreau, something like that. They're gonna play Jets D if they don't play Dulcich. If not, they're gonna use another $2,500 defense just because everyone punts defense. And then they're gonna load up at the wide receiver position. So just by getting one of those higher priced running backs, it already makes you different, right? It's that 1-2 combo where it's like, can Eckler keep up with one of these higher priced wide receivers? Absolutely. But look at the combo, and that's the part that you have to be comfortable with. And if you are comfortable, yeah, I do like playing Austin Eckler in tournaments this week. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think, Herbert's ribs are still bothering him. He just doesn't seem right. And his automatic, safety blanket is Eckler. I mean, he's been killing the reception game, and that's why we see so many points. So that's the only concern I have if Allen's back, because he seems to be the guy that he'll just go option 1-2 all the time. If he's not back, I do love Eckler in this one to get those targets that, he's going to be off to Allen a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. He's gonna get Keenan back active, and this game kind of going more under the radar than it should be, right? A lot of people playing the Seattle offense. They're going back to Tyler Lockett. They're going back to Metcalf. Geno is still, gaining some traction there. Miles, by the way, we'll do this in Discord. We don't do full lineups on the show because or else we'll be here for 3 hours. But we'll go through your lineup in Discord. Just hit us up there. But yeah, a lot of people still playing Lockett. A lot of people still playing Metcalf. Everything like that. And for me, it's going to be more so on the Chargers side of the football. If Keenan's out, Mike Williams definitely has that upside. And he's the definition of a tournament player in the sense that he can get 22 points or he can get 2. There's absolutely no between Mike Williams. And this is one of those weeks where he can't get 22 points if Keenan Allen's out, right? And even if he isn't, it'll still, the price is too high for me to get there. But at the same time, Keenan's going to draw a lot of attention there, and so will Gerald Everett. And everyone on the Chargers offense is in play for me. Eckler would be the ultimate priority. And if you're stacking Justin Herbert on a guy that's going to throw the football an absurd amount of times today, I really like if he's getting reinforcements in Keenan Allen, you can absolutely stack this game with 2 Chargers. I would go Herbie, Eckler, and then if Keenan's in, do you want to go there? I'll leave that decision up to you guys. Do you want to play Mike Williams? Do you want to play Gerald Everett on National Tight End Day? Or those are the guys that I would limit it to. If Keenan's out, you could even play Josh Palmer.
That's who I would go. 9 catches last game. He was
good.
Yeah.
That's what I would do, and then run it back with Tyler Lockett. Would be the move that I would do. But all in all, this game flying under the radar a little bit more than it should be.
It's the highest total, I think, on the board today too. So just by a point. So
it is.
But I know we're leaving another one, maybe the best one, for last.
Yeah, I always leave the best one for last, and I have so much to say about this game. That's why. So
I love it. Let me just throw this out there for everyone watching. Please hit the like button, subscribe. Don't forget to go to windaily.com. Get in there with the promo code WINBIG, and you can get a lot of ghost locks, StixPicks, my articles, our Discord room. Just don't, we're giving out a lot of good stuff today, but don't forget where all the real background information is. So go to windailysports.com. All right, let's go to the final game here, Ghost.
Yeah, I'm just gonna correct myself too. By the way, I was just like peeking my notes and I flipped the names. Palmer was out, so it's Carter. So it's DeAndre Carter. I just got too ahead of myself there talking about that game because I really like stacking the Chargers today. No one's gonna do it. So yeah, for me it would be Herbie with Eckler and Carter if Palmer's out. If Keenan Allen's out, excuse me. See this how much I looked into this offense. It's the stack that I've been trying to make work forever. So it's gonna be Herbie with Eckler and Carter if Keenan's out. And then running back with Tyler Lockett, it's absolutely huge for tournaments. But this is the game that I wanted to talk about. KC taking on San Fran. So I'll touch on the KC side first. On the road, 1-point favorites. Patrick Mahomes is 2 under roster on this slate for a quarterback slate that doesn't have Josh Allen on it, doesn't have Kyler Murray's rushing upside on it. The Rams are on bye, the Eagles are on bye. Kirk Cousins is usually one of people's go-to cheap options. There's no Jalen Hurts. There's no Josh Allen. There's a lot of guys missing from the quarterback position, and Patrick Mahomes is still not rostered enough. And that's something that I absolutely want to take advantage of. It's National Tight End Day. This is the one scenario, Brian, this is for you. The one scenario where I would go double tight end is in this game, I want Kelsey and Kittle. Yes, I want Kittle. Because he is the OG founder of the National Tight End Day, and this guy goes bonkers on National Tight End Day. The one thing that I will say, this is something that is absolutely huge, and no, it's not the acquisition of Christian McCaffrey, anything like that. I'll touch on that in a little bit. This all depends on if that San Fran O-line gets healthy. And if Williams is back and Williams is a go, George Kittle will not be blocking as much, which is absolutely huge. You need Trent Williams to be back on that offensive line for San Fran. So if he's back, that's when I'm in on Kittle. If he's not back, it's like I'm still in, but it's not as fun. Like I need Trent Williams to play in this game, right? So that's the one thing that I'll say. McCaffrey's going to play. He had like maybe 3 business days to learn the playbook. He's not going to be overly active, right? So it's the one thing that I will say. They're going to dump him off. He's going to be utilized a lot in the red zone. So they're going to scheme up. I'm sure in the limited time that they've had, they're going to be able to scheme up plays for him in the red zone. But you absolutely cannot play Christian McCaffrey today. It sucks. I'm sorry. I absolutely want to play him in this offense because Jimmy G is going to be the check down king now, which is going to be amazing for McCaffrey. But we can't do it this week, unfortunately. I have a ton of love for Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk will stretch the field against this KC defense, and I absolutely do like Brandon Ayuk in that 6K wide receiver range. Again, when everybody is playing all the other guys that we've been talking about, like when I said I kind of like Brandon Cooks, it's because I'm leaning even more so to Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk has big play potential in this game. So I do like him. I like Kittle. I like Deebo. McCaffrey's going to be out. And on the KC side, I am all in on Travis Kelce. And I'm all out on the running back situation. Everyone's going to talk about Isaiah Pacheco because this is Andy Reid at its finest. The reason why he needs Isaiah Pacheco starting in this game is because Patty Mahomes has had 0 time to throw the ball. And Isaiah Pacheco excels in what? Pass blocking. He's going to go out there and he's going to block. So he is starting to block, which means that Mahomes is going to throw the ball a billion times in this game. Like all the stars are aligned. So could Pacheco tumble down into the end zone? Cool. I don't want that. I want running backs that have immense upside. It's not going to be this. I'm going to be completely out on Isaiah Pacheco. CH is still going to get active when they need to run the football. It's going to be a lot. CH is still going to be there. Jerick McKinnon's still going to be the scat back. Like with Pacheco starting, all signs point to Mahomes throwing the ball a billion times, and barely anybody is playing him. Everyone's going Lamar or Burrow. That's like these 4:00 games with Herbert and Mahomes is where I want to go in tournaments. So as you could, sorry about that. I stole the whole segment for that game, but I absolutely love this game. I'm waiting for the 4:30 start, and I'm playing Mahomes. I'm playing Kelsey. I'm playing George Kittle. I'm really investing in this game a lot, an absolute ton. It's gonna go nuts.
As much as I loved T. Higgins earlier, my 1B to him this week is Brandon Ayuk. I'm absolutely in love with Ayuk today. He's going against D-back Josh Williams, who is letting up 131 passer rating. He's allowing 37.9% target shares. I think we could see a huge game out of Ayuk. I think C-Mac might open that up for him too. So Ayuk's one of my favorites on the board this week. I do like a lot of the angles you're going. Listen, with Pacheco, he's going to need the pass block. Bosa's back, right? So if they're going to start chucking this around, they need some guys to be in there and keep that monster off Mahomes because he's a bad boy. So I do see that kind of game environment happening. Love Mahomes, love Kelsey. And I do love Brandon Ayuk. I want to get Debo back in there. I think they'll get him in the running game a little bit more this week, but I'd favor Ayuk a little more.
Well, that's the whole point about what I personally think this offense is going to look like, right? Like it's the whole thing with McCaffrey is that over the years, he's obviously been banged up. Everyone knows that. He's missed a lot of time, et cetera, et cetera. The whole thing is that with Debo being able to run the football and San Fran having such a good running scheme, like Kyle Shanahan knows how to run the football. That's just what he does. And you're able to now alleviate that pressure off McCaffrey where you don't need to give him 20 plus carries, but that opens up the passing game for him. And that's going to be absolutely huge, right? So I'm really looking forward to what this offense looks like next week when McCaffrey is going to have a chance to actually learn the playbook. But I still think he scores a touchdown today because they're going to scheme him open in the red zone. And that's just what it is. And how do you figure out who they're going to between McCaffrey, Kittle, and Debo Samuel in the red zone? He's running jet sweeps. He's running all kinds of routes. Like it's just, he's a problem to deal with. And then George Kittle, now you add McCaffrey to that fold. This team's going to be elite in the red zone as long as Jimmy G, knows what he's doing for the first time in the red zone. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But GVP, Amon-Ra St. Brown or Mark Andrews?
It's hard.
I'll
say St. Brown. I think we have a little bit more. It's crazy to think with a guy like Andrews who can put up 30 to 40 points in a given day, National Tight End Day. But I think we get a little bit lower ownership on St. Brown with Detroit coming off that, bye. So I'm leaning towards St. Brown of those two, but I love them both. I think they're both in great situations today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take, if you're playing, the one and only thing I'll say about this, because like I need a bit more context, so I'll answer it for you that way. But if you're playing Lamar, it's going to be Mark Andrews. If you're not playing Lamar, I'll take Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
1-for-1. But that's it. We already covered every single game. Jimmy G stock season. Man, I really hope it doesn't come to that. I really hope it doesn't come to that because I get a headache every time I make a lineup with Jimmy G and I just end up clearing it because I can't stomach it. And I really hope that's not what it comes to, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I'm already not looking forward to that, especially in the playoff slates, man, when it's like you got so few options and you got to pay up for the premium guys and you're like, okay, am I punting quarterback? I don't want to punt quarterback. And then Jimmy G is just there staring at you in the face and you're thinking, okay, am I actually going to use Jimmy G? And it's nauseating. I'm not looking forward to
right? KC is just brutal defensively.
Yeah.
But I just can't. I can't either.
I can't do it.
I'm sorry. I'm out on the Ravens running game. The Ravens running game to me is Lamar Jackson. So I think Gus gets eased back into this thing, and the Kenyon Drake situation, that's just, if he scores, you're lucky. Like I find that's just him because down low, anything inside the 10 is either going to be Gus, Mark, or Lamar. So I can't do Kenyon, and I'm just not ready on Gus. I don't think he gets a lot of action today. I think they ease him back in.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I will say is that I personally think Hill gets a decent amount of touches also.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that's kind of limiting the upside. But yeah, Kenyon Drake has that big playability, and he can also catch the ball, which is big too. So Kenyon Drake's still going to be first up. For all we know, man, they might even use Mike Davis. Like, it's going to be a running back carousel back there. So that's why I'm kind of avoiding it. But that's about it.
Yeah, I'll give you one more here. Which defense to play in the price range of the Jets? Because I agree. You got to kind of get off the Jets in GPPs today. I don't know. I'd lean, like, Carolina has got lucky this year. They've scored 3 defensive touchdowns. If you want to go really cheap, I guess the Giants, if you want to go just a little more, I could get in with the Giants or Jacksonville game because I don't think we're going to see a lot of points in that game.
Yeah, And you need defenses that can make some plays. Both Sunshine and Daniel Jones are going to be prone to turnovers, so
Yep.
that's this is probably one of one of the things that I wrote when I used to cover NFL articles. It was just it's like a car, man. You leave the lot, your defense is already losing points, so you shouldn't. You really shouldn't put all that much thought into it. You just need guys that if you I always play a defense against turnover prone quarterbacks. That's it.
Yep.
That's what it is, because the defenses that get defensive touchdowns and this and that, man, at the end of the day, there's so much variance when it comes to that stuff. That should be the last thing that you pick. So
For sure.
yeah, go in a game where you're like, okay, can this opposing quarterback throw a pick, or can he fumble, or can whatever? If the answer is yes, cool, play that defense. That's the way that I do it. But we'll wrap it up with our top targets at every position. So quarterback, cash, and GPP.
Yeah, GPP for me, it is Lamar. As far as cash goes, looking to play somewhere in the safe range. I'm gonna say Dak for me. I think that game environment. I want to get either Goff or Dak in a cash game. So, but GPPs, I still like Lamar.
Yeah, cash. I could in cash, if you could fit Lamar, do it. I personally couldn't do it, so I went Burrow. Those are the only two guys I would consider in cash.
Yep.
And then for tournaments, I'm playing Mahomes and Herbert. And in the extremely large field contest, I'm playing Aaron Rodgers. And I know Stix is going to appreciate that too. But running backs, cash and GBP, who do you got? One of each.
Yeah, and so cash, Josh Jacobs, we talked about it earlier. Really like him there. And then in GPP, for me, it's Breece Hall. I think in that game environment and that windy day out in Denver, and they've been susceptible to some big run games. I like Breece and GPPs.
Like that ton. Cash, I'm going. You took Jacobs, so I'll take Kenneth Walker. And then tournaments, it's Aaron Jones. I'm going Aaron Jones this week. I have a ton of Aaron Jones. So yeah, Aaron Jones is going to be my guy. But wide receiver, who do you got? Cash, GPP.
Yeah. So I mean, we're both on T Higgins. So I'll let you get that one since I took Jacobs. And I'll say Ayuk in GPP. I just think you got to get somebody in the pass game for San Fran today against KC. We're going to get some points there. And as far as cash goes, I'm going to go Godwin. I think he's just a very safe play against that Carolina team. We're going to see a solid 20-point game easily out of Godwin.
Yeah, I thought you were going to take T, so I was going to take Godwin for cash. But
thank you
for giving me that. Thank you for giving me that one. But yeah, so we're both on the same guys in cash. It's going to be Godwin and Higgins, guys. That's where we're starting our cash lineups. And then in tournaments, it's going to be exposure to the games that we were talking about. So Detroit, Dallas, you got to look at Gallup, CD, Amon-Ra St. Brown, KC, and San Fran. I'm looking at Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. And there's one T Higgins. I'm playing all formats, and yeah, CD was the one that I didn't want to forget. So that's pretty much where I'm going right now. Tight end, cash.
Yeah,
GPP.
I think
this one's greasy.
It is real greasy, and I think I got to go and hit big on a tight end today, similar to the TJ Hawkinson breakout we had a few weeks ago. So I'm gonna go in GPPs with George Kittle, 5,300. I think I love Andrews. Don't get me wrong. I think he's safer in some other areas, but he's in play for GPP as well. But I'm going to go Kittle, hoping for that big splash today. Like you said, he loves the limelight, loves the spotlight. And then safely, I'll go with Dual Kitchen in cash. At that price, I can build a lot of things around him.
Yeah, so for now, we have 45 minutes till opening kickoff there. If Albert O is active, I'm actually look for updates in Discord about Dulcich and cash. We'll see what we do with that. If it remains that he's still a coach's decision inactive, I'm still playing Dulcich and cash. You got to eat that chalk. If not, you could go to Moreau. So that's the pivot. Moreau is probably going to be the pivot because people won't change their cash lineups. They're just going to go up to Moreau, which is like $200-300, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then GPPs, I'm going to the opposite side of the pricing grid. I'm paying up this week, guys. It's going to be Kelsey in my Mahomes stacks, Andrews in my Lamar stacks, and George Kittle in my infamously hated double tight end builds with Kelsey and using Mahomes there. That's those are my three guys that I'm using a ton in tournaments. If you want to go lower on the grid, we talked about guys. We talked about Njoku. We talked about Dalton Schultz. We talked about Robert Tonyan. We talked about Hawkinson. We talked about all these guys, right? So plenty of time now, 45 minutes till opening kickoff. Make sure that you go and rewind if you need. Breakdown covered every single game, every position. We talked a lot about tight ends on National Tight End Day, as we absolutely should. It's National Tight End Day, so this might be the one for a double tight end week. Yeah, I hate it, man. I absolutely hate it, bro. Like, it's just I can't do it, but it's National Tight End Day, so like there's so many lineup possibilities with them, and the quarterbacks that I'm playing, it makes it work. Like, I'm not playing Lamar without Mark Andrews in tournaments. I'm not playing Mahomes without Kelsey. Gerald Everett makes for a cheap secondary stack option with Herbie. Like, these are all scenarios where the stars are aligned. So National Tight End Day, I might have to throw a double tight end lineup out there.
I like it, and especially where we're not seeing a lot of value really cheap in the wide receiver market. You can now do that. So I will get there a little bit. Charlie, thanks. Good luck today. I'm sure you're heading into the game any second now. And with that, we're giving you guys 40 minutes back to get your lineups stacked, packed, and ready to win some cash today. Again, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel here on YouTube, and also get into WinDailySports.com. Use the Win Big promo code and watch what you can do. Look in the Discord lineups. We're posting takedowns every day in NFL, NBA. It's just been great, and it all takes a team, right? It takes an army, and that's what we are here at Win Daily Sports. Ghost, you got anything else on the way out?
Good luck, guys. Happy National Tight End Day to everybody.
I love it. Until next week. Well, actually, until the next show. We got some NBA coming up tonight. We're starting to stack our lineup with our NBA pre-locks as well. So, just follow, subscribe. You'll get all the updates and all the good stuff. Until then, I'm Dave Gluckner. That's Nick and Ghost, as we call him, and we're out.